There you are. Welcome back to the channel. This is the most disturbing videos on the internet today. Let's dive in.
Wearables, for example. So if I have like a smartwatch or smart glasses that I think most of us know Apple will be coming to market with this year, that is probably what is going to replace the smartphone eventually. So you can imagine a world where maybe you have smart glasses and you just kind of pull up the digital world in front of you as opposed to looking down. Maybe you can kind of tap your shoulder and the chip in your shoulder turns on your music or makes a phone call. But if you see the way technology is trending, so things like ChatGPT, and you kind of imagine that in these systems, you start to realize that the things around you, you'll start to interface with more, and you won't need to kind of carry this device that you have to look down at all the time. And that to me is keys to a door that we've never seen anything like. Wearables, for example. So if I have like a smartwatch or smart glasses that
I'm not ready. I just want to go outside, plant some flowers, just get that nature energy. I don't want to be engulfed in a cyber world. I got flowers I need to plant right now.
Hear me out. Okay, I didn't know if this was even real, so I flew 8,000 miles across the ocean to try and find it carved into a wall, and I did. In Edfu, which I will explain the importance of later. But first, we need to break down what the whole hieroglyph means first. So we'll start with the Ankh. That is toroidal geometry, or the geometry of a smoke ring. Donut. Air goes in the top, it shoots out as a tornado in the bottom. The sides form a donut shape containing all the smoke. Cut it in half, it looks like an apple. You can make this geometry just by using harmonically drawn circles. The Ankh is a shorthand icon, so you don't have to draw all those circles, but every culture has really encapsulated the shape in some form or another. Even our fusion reactors use this geometry for energy production. This guy, Bob Grenier, tipped me off to this when he was describing how the thunderstorm generator worked. That thing takes exhaust gas, like from your car, and literally transmutes it into breathable oxygen using plasma. So what about the JED? The JED generates the magnetic field that shapes the plasma into a donut. The Greek Ionic column and the Sumerian column also show magnetic geometry. But the biggest clue is in a relief in Abydos. The pillars tilted the same degree the Earth is tilted, which is determined by the rotation of the insides of the planet. That rotation creates the magnetic field of the planet and is the reason why we see auroras, which are also plasma. Now, I didn't just find this in one place in Edfu, I found it all over Edfu. This is crazy because Edfu is a very special temple. Edfu tells the story of the original followers of Horus who built Egypt. They called it Zep Tepi, the first occurrence. It's in the Edfu building text. Plato got the entire Atlantis legend from Solon. This is after Solon visited Egypt, likely at Edfu. Could the walls be showing how they did it? One video cannot do that topic justice.
So you mean to tell me that they had mercury rectifier hieroglyphs in Egypt?
Red mercury, anti-gravity, and its connection to Vimanas and Nazi die-Glocke technology. Red mercury is one of the most mysterious and controversial substances in history, allegedly linked to anti-gravity, energy manipulation, and hidden advanced technology. Could it be a key component in levitation devices like Vimanas, ancient flying crafts, and the Nazi die Glocke, the bell? Let's break it all down. What is red mercury? Theories on its composition. Some claim red mercury is a high-energy, dense, liquid-state compound used in advanced technology. Other reports suggest it's a superconducting material, possibly containing mercury antimony oxide, gold isotopes, or even alchemical elements. It's rumored to be highly sought after for weapons, energy devices, and anti-gravity research. Why is it so controversial? Governments deny its existence, yet intelligence reports suggest secret operations to obtain it. It is linked to suppressed technologies, black budget military programs, and ancient knowledge. Could it be the missing component in lost energy systems? If red mercury is real, it could be a key material for manipulating gravity, energy fields, and propulsion systems. 2. Red mercury and anti-gravity, how it may work. Mercury as a vortex medium. Mercury is highly conductive, forming unique vortex fields when spun at high speeds. In liquid or plasma states, it may interact with electromagnetic fields to create lift and motion. Ancient Hindu texts describe Vimanas using spinning mercury-based propulsion systems, superconductivity, and electrostatic levitation. If red mercury is a room temperature superconductor,
Is somebody eating? What is going on here? He is cleaning that plate. I'm trying to get this mercury rectifier popping off.
It could create repulsive electromagnetic effects. Iron, when charged with high voltages, it may generate a gravitational shielding effect, leading to levitation. This aligns with John Worrell Keely's, Victor Schauberger's, and Tesla's research on vibrational physics. If red mercury enhances electromagnetic fields, it could be the missing link between electrostatic levitation and anti-gravity craft. 3. Red mercury and ancient Vimanas. Vimanas, mercury-powered flying craft in ancient texts. Ancient Indian texts like the Vaimanika Shastra describe flying machines powered by spinning mercury gyros. These craft were capable of anti-gravity flight, invisibility, and supersonic speeds. Could red mercury be a modern rediscovery of the ancient lost technology? Why did the knowledge disappear? Colonial suppression, Vatican archives, and secret societies have hidden much of ancient technology. The elite use controlled science narratives to prevent public knowledge of natural anti-gravity and free energy. The Vimanas align with Tesla's work on free energy, showing that all ancient civilizations may have understood these principles. If Vimanas used red mercury-based energy, modern governments may have re-engineered it for secret space programs. So knocked out for red mercury and the Nazi Die Glocke, the bell. The Nazi bell, secret anti-gravity experimentation. Die Glocke was a bell-shaped device allegedly using high-energy rotating mercury plasma. It created massive electromagnetic fields.
Look at this. East India got them too. What do y'all use them for? What are y'all working on?
With some reports suggesting temporal distortions or anti-gravity effects. Nazi engineers may have tapped into suppressed ancient knowledge to reconstruct lost energy technology. SS and occult science, a continuation of ancient research. The Nazis were obsessed with esoteric sciences, ancient civilizations, and lost technology. They sought out ancient texts on mercury-based propulsion systems, connecting it to the Vimanas. After World War II, top Nazi scientists were absorbed into the US and Soviet programs. Operation Paperclip, possibly continuing red mercury research.
Guys, this looks like a battery. Like you can insert this into something. Take a good look at this. We might be taking a step forward into figuring out what these things are. They snatched this out of something. This was a power source for something. Look, you can see the outlet. Talk to me. What else is it for? Like I'm telling you, I don't know what they put this in, but they snatched it out of something. Like it looks like it fits like a battery, snug. I feel like we're getting somewhere.
If Die Glocke was real, it suggests that mercury-based anti-gravity propulsion was being rediscovered.
You see how it heats up? You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, once you put that on the right, something is... It might power a UFO. It might power one of these Indian structures we're always seeing. You know, those... what's my guy? Pareen Mohan. You know, those buildings that be spinning? What if they had one of these lodged up in the middle? You know what I'm saying? That's probably what had it spinning and it took off in the air. I don't know. Talk to me.
Discovered in secret military projects. 5. What this means for the future of energy and propulsion. If red mercury exists, it could revolutionize free energy systems, eliminating dependence on fossil fuels. Anti-gravity propulsion, leading to aircraft and spacecraft that defy conventional physics. Time and space manipulation. If related to temporal distortions, it could unlock interdimensional travel. Why this technology is suppressed. If red mercury unlocks free energy, anti-gravity, and advanced technology, it would collapse existing power structures. Governments hoard such knowledge to maintain control over energy, transportation, and military supremacy. The elite keep humanity trapped in outdated energy paradigms to enforce dependency. If we could reintroduce mercury-based energy systems, we could break free from centralized technological control.
Here's another example. This looks like a power source. They snatched this off like a a motherboard or something, doesn't it? They took this mercury off of some type of circuit board, because if we look, I'm telling you, they probably had a whole hold on a second. Look at this. This is a motherboard. This is a Tekken 3 PCB. Now look at that nodule on the edge. I'm telling you, this was some type of technology. This was a massive motherboard that this mercury came off of. Drop your thoughts in the comments below.
Final thoughts. Red mercury as the key to lost and suppressed science. Red mercury is linked to ancient Vimanas. Red mercury, anti-gravity.
I could talk about mercury rectifiers, red mercury all day.
Did you know that the whole world seemingly melted all around us not too far in our past? And that the melting of the entire world supposedly, allegedly, is closer to us than was closer to the building of the Ark? And this will get crazier in a minute, but anywhere you look on any continent on this earth, you will see melted buildings, melted mountains, everything is melted. Why? Why is this not documented anywhere? Well, I did find one documentation I'm about to show you. Probably the most overlooked documentation to ever exist. And coming from the most important document to ever exist. Even just pay attention to Sudan's pyramids all being charred. Charred by something. You remember when Jesus said to be more tolerable in that day for Sodom and Gomorrah than for anywhere else? Anywhere else where they reject his word. But like I said, there is one mention of everything on this earth melting. And we don't give it much thought. But the one mention of this scenario that we have in all literature says, the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth and also the works that are therein shall be burned up. Let me know if you can guess what book that came from. And also on the complete other side of the spectrum, in 5087 when the map was created, there was no ice in the south. You know, at the South Pole? Not only were the map makers seemingly sure of this, they were so sure they put animals down there. Where are the penguins at, though? I don't see those. It wasn't until more modern history where they put ice down there. I wonder if something big happened. Kind of like it seems like something else really big happened. Questioning your reality? This video right here, it'll help.
Like this was like a civilization at one time, but I don't even want to imagine how it got melted.
Baalbek, which is located in Lebanon, if there was one example, one ancient site on Earth that is evidence of a lost, ancient, advanced civilization, those stones that are highlighted in red are the trilithon stones. From the top to bottom is 14 feet, and they're 62 feet long.
It's hard to tell because of the perspective, but when you're looking at something that's 62 feet long and 14 feet high, what is the weight of that?
So that's 1.7 million pounds, each of them, and there's 3 of them. And if you were to go to the quarry, there's ones that are 1,200 tons and even 1,500 tons. This is mind-boggling.
Just looking at the enormous size of those stones, there's no reasonable explanation.
Notice how they're completely flush, nice and even with each other. This exceeds the known capabilities of what the Romans had.
Impossible megaliths in Baalbek Tepe.
A truth that I was unable to discover either at school or in church. As time passed, I began to play a game with water's secret powers. I surrendered my so-called free consciousness and allowed the water to take possession of it for a while. Little by little, this game turned into a profoundly earnest endeavor because I realized that one could detach one's own consciousness from the body and attach it to that of the water. When my own consciousness was eventually returned to me, then the water's most deeply concealed psyche often revealed the most extraordinary things to me. As a result of this investigation, a researcher was born who could dispatch his consciousness on a voyage of discovery, as it were. In this way, I was able to experience things that had escaped other people's notice, because they were unaware that a human being is able to send forth his free consciousness into those places the eyes cannot see. By practicing this blindfolded vision, I eventually developed a bond with mysterious nature, whose essential being I then slowly learnt to perceive and understand. Is it therefore so illogical to recognize the will of nature and the rapid increase in the number of human beings? Everything is governed by one law. A human being is a microcosmos, i.e. the laws prevailing in the cosmos also operate in the minutest space of the human being. Water is a living organism. Today's science thinks too primitively. It could be said that its thinking is an octave too low. It still has not ventured far enough into the realm of energy. All motions consist of two components. One component serves inwardness, intermolation, and the other outwardness, dispersion. Both preconditions for motion regulate the eternal flow of metamorphosis. The thorough study of water, therefore, signifies the end of monopolies, the end of all domination in the truest sense of the word, and the start of a socialism arising from the development of individualism in its most perfect form. If we wish to influence our own life in a particular direction, which is constantly threatened by the danger of the emergence of alien-like life forms, and to protect it from deterioration, then we must either allow nature to rule, or, if we wish to intervene, we must first acquaint ourselves with the simplest principles of life. Our primeval mother is an organism that no science in the world can rationalize. Everything on her that crawls and flies is dependent upon her, and all must hopelessly perish if that earth dies that feeds us. Equivalence signifies uniformity, and thus immobility. Our sight constitutes an unconscious, automatic transformation process through which the negative image, like a photographic negative, i.e., the effect, is transformed into a positive one. Our thinking, however, is really a purely individual conscious process, and therefore learnable. If our thinking is to achieve the same perfection as our seeing, then we must change our way of thinking and learn to see reality, not as an action, but as a reaction. Perfect thought lies in the appreciation of the correct reaction. For before the eye can show us the positive, it must transform the negative, and in a certain manner must break up what it records. What we see, therefore, is the turning inside out of what we receive. What our mind grasps in this way must be reformed and rethought if we wish to attain what we strive for. And even the eye has first to learn how to see everything new. It too must be therefore awoken from its latency before it can grasp the seen. A truth that I was unable to discover either at school or in church.
Well, that was a little interesting dissertation, but Bruce Lee told us to be water a while ago.
The universe is polarized. It cannot be that the geometry of space would have only one polarity of the equation. When I pushed one into the other and rotated so that it would be in perfect polarization to each other, the central red base were exactly in the right position to accept the reverse metric without having me distort the geometry or remove tetrahedrons or anything like that. The polarized metric would actually be incomplete without its better half. The result of the two metric intersecting with each other to create the perfect sphere generated in the middle what is called a cuboctahedron, which is 8 tetrahedron coming together, which was called by Buckminster Fuller the vector equilibrium. I covered the spaces that were open on the edge of the metric, so I had to add 3 tetrahedrons to every edge, which was 8. So that generated 24 more tetrahedron. So remember, there's 20 tetrahedron in one isotropic vector metric. 2 makes it 40, plus 24, added up to 64 tetrahedron grid. At 64, it all came together. I had generated a vector equilibrium in the middle, but now I had generated a larger fractal vector equilibrium on the edge in harmonic scales, or in octaves, if you want.
When they discovered space travel, they built small ships. When it was time to migrate to other worlds, they did not have the raw materials to build big 100-mile ships. So the smaller ships would go out into space and would capture asteroids in space. They would pull them into an orbit around their planets. They would hollow them out from the inside and build their spacecraft on the inside of the asteroid. That became their ship. And they would put propulsion systems on the outside, and then they would go out into space. They would grow their own food on the inside. They would look for water. Many of their ships, many of the crews of some of those maiden early ships perished because they could not find habitable environments or enough resources. But others did in fact survive. We face those same challenges here on Earth. So there is much that they can teach us. As they evolved as a species, as a race, spiritually, they now travel in 800-mile motherships that are completely self-contained. They use free energy, as Dr. Sala has referred to. In fact, all of them do. Okay? And the motherships are like their home world. Many of the Andromedans that live on the ships both live, die, reincarnate into other lives on the same motherships. Many have never been to their home world. Their motherships are fantastic, absolutely fantastic. They pull water from space because everywhere there's hydrogen. They use free energy. On the inside, there are hundreds and hundreds of miles of parks with lakes, forests, groves where they grow food. They are fruitarians. They eat fruit. When their scout teams or scientists go to other parts and they leave the mothership, they take small little green wafers with them. This is their food. That's very nutritious and makes them full, 1 tablet a day. The Andromedans live an average life of 2,007 years of our Earth years in one life.
Like, what if the ancient airships could be comparable to the motherships as far as being able to grow on those things? I don't know about everything he was saying. Possibly have a civilization up there, as long as they have perpetual energy is what I'm getting at.
Some actually live twice that. Okay? So they see many things. They have tremendous wisdom. And as Colonel Stevens had said in previous lectures, and maybe he said it today, for some reason when the ETs leave their physicality and incarnate back in, come back in through the birth process, they remember who they are. They don't have the spiritual blind that we on Earth have to deal with. Their DNA is 9-strand, not just 2. They are telepathic. If I could take all of you into their mothership and we were to walk into one of their park areas, you would see many people. But you wouldn't hear a sound except for the birds, the insects, and the animals. Okay, there'd be no sound because they all talk to each other by thought transference using telepathy. Telepathy is very interesting, and it is a phenomenal experience. And as Miss Angelica Wycliffe is going to share with you tomorrow in her talk about telepathy, is that you get entire concepts like this. For example, if we were to take our world and compile books on love, it would probably fill this room and then some. In the Andromedan world, where they come from, when they talk to each other and they talk about love, you get all of those books and more just like that. It's all in your head. It's right there. And now you know everything. It's very hard to process it. Sometimes you don't even know what you have in your head, which is why I'm a big fan of questions and answers periods. Because sometimes if people don't ask the question, I don't necessarily know what I know. Okay? The Andromedans use color, light, and holographic tools for healing. Now, it's not that they catch a disease, but occasionally some of their scientists that are out in the world, or they're exploring a comet or exploring a quasar, accidents happen. All right? And in that case, they would have to fix their physicality. One of the things that they do is they have this camera. When they discovered space travel, they built small ships.
Damn, I wanted to hear about the camera. Makes you think, because if people are capable of making these types of motherships, exactly how far on Earth could they go? That's all we have for today's video. The code word today is Sunday Night Nitro. Go ahead and drop Sunday Night Nitro in the comments below. That lets me know you're a real one because you made it all the way through the video. And I just want to say thank you, man. Your support means the world to me. When I be swimming through the comments, I'm like, yep, they be in here. That's a diver. They be in these waters for real. Also, I may be doubling up on you. Be sure to check out Jet Ski Chuck for longer videos and you don't miss any of the action. This was the most disturbing videos on the internet today. See you tomorrow.